Alright, hey guys, FatalFerret here, and welcome back to another manga video. So, I saw a video posted by one of my favorite manga YouTubers out there right now, by the name of InsidiousSwede's. So, I follow a lot of his videos, I get lots of ideas and inspiration from his videos, and I honestly just enjoy watching them. And he recently created his own manga tag, and I went through the questions, and I thought they were really kind of different and interesting. So I was like, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the questions he made and give my answers to them. I'll also link his video in the description below. So the first question is, so a manga series that was better than you expected. So this one came to mind pretty easily for me, and that was Bakuman. So I started reading Bakuman pretty much right when it first came out, and I can't remember, when I started reading manga, it was like kind of by myself. I didn't know anyone else who read it, so I don't think I'd even read Death Note yet, so I didn't even know who these two amazing creators were, but I was like, I mean, it's a story about the creation of manga. How good can it actually be? Well, I mean, I was so wrong. It's just a 20-volume series. It's a great length. It's so action-packed for a story that's just about two guys who dream of being mangaka someday. So, for being such a simple storyline, and the insight and the depth it had into how manga is actually created, was super interesting. So, this really was an amazing backdoor glimpse into the world of creating manga, and I really did love this series a lot. It was just really, really good. Alright, moving on to the next question, is favorite character possession. So this one I had to think about for a while, because, you know, there are some really, really good ones out there. So I came up with a couple that I want to do on this list. So the first one is from Rosario Vampire. So the main character, I guess you'd call him, Skune, goes through a lot of transformations in this series. And it was really unexpected, because this series starts off sort of just like a harem type series, but volume 6 is where the series really kind of makes way and really sort of like takes its wings as just an amazing series. And so the first few transformations Skune has are like really cool. I remember, because I was in high school when I read these, and I was like, well, this is just the coolest stuff of all time. And I just remember being like, damn, this is so cool. And so Rosario Vampire is definitely one of them, but the other one I just wanted to mention quickly is kind of my really close runner-up was Stein from Soul Eater, because I love the art style in Soul Eater. It's one of my favorite of all time, and the way he portrays like madness in this series is it's so good, and the few of the things Stein does in this volume, because like the madness, he like finally kind of lets it loose in him. Oh, it's so good. It's got that Tim Burton feel, so that was one of my other kind of sort of possessions, but not totally at the same time. It's not necessarily possession, but I kind of thought that fit the question. So on to the next question, which is a completed manga I wish was longer. So my first choice was A Silent Voice. So A Silent Voice is a really, really short and sweet story. It's 7 volumes long, about, it starts off when they're younger, but a young boy who bullies a young girl who is partially or mostly deaf. And he bullies her really bad, and it's sort of a redemption story after they meet up a little bit later in life. And you kind of see, you know, where the bully is at and where the girl has gotten to, and how their lives have been changed by just everything that's happened between them, and kind of how they move forward. The thing about this series is I don't think it was necessarily too short by any means. I think it was a good length for the story it told, but I love the characters so much, I just wish it was longer. So question 4 is favorite Immortal character. Now, I really had to comb my collection to figure out who my favorite was, because there are, you know, surprisingly quite a few, but I think I had to settle with this one. And I pulled up Code Geass, and there's a few characters I could really go with from this series, but I went with CC. So I really like CC. Code Geass is one of the first anime I ever watched, and I remember when I first picked up the volume of the manga, I was kind of like, what's going on? Where are all the giant fighting mechs? If you haven't read the Code Geass manga, I highly suggest that you go do it, because you're going to get a very, very different experience you did from the anime, because if I remember correctly, there are no mechs, like, at all. So it changes the series completely, even though the storyline is basically the same. So even though it's like super hard to find in English, I have all the volumes, so I'm kind of lucky about that. But yeah, I had to go with CC because she was one of the first Immortal characters I kind of came into in my manga and anime journey, and she stuck with me ever since. Alright, so moving on to question 5 is, what manga do you want published in English and in what release? So this one may seem like a bit of a weird one, but I guess it's actually kind of maybe a couple series. But so the first anime I ever really watched subtitled, which this is going to be a weird one, was called, I don't even know if many of you have heard of it. It was like a shonen dog manga called Ginga Densetsu Weed, or Weedo, as they said in the anime. So it's like this action shonen manga about these dogs that like fight to the death. And I thought, being a massive dog lover, it was like the coolest thing I have ever seen. So I would love to see this. It's a long manga series, and I believe the Ginga Densetsu Weed is actually a sequel to another series. So I would love to see all those published in English. The problem is there are a ton of volumes. They are already quite old, and I believe Ginga Densetsu Weed was already published in English once, but they only ever published 3 volumes, and before, I don't know, the company, I don't even know what company published them, if I'm honest. I'd love one day to get my hands on those 3 English volumes, but it just makes me sad, because the fact that it was published at one point makes it practically impossible that it would ever be released in English again, especially because it's so old. I don't think there's really a demand other than myself for shonen dog manga, but I can still dream. And definitely I would want an omnibus release, sort of like the Dark Horse releases, just because the series is so long. Moving on to question 6 is our favorite current Shonen Jump series. So you're looking at one of them right now, and that has absolutely got to be My Hero Academia. I love this series. I didn't really think anything would be able to like dethrone One Punch Man for me, and don't get me wrong, One Punch Man is amazing, but I love this story so much. Just between the characters, the progression has been really good so far. I love the art style, and it's cool to have that. I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily call it more, like, I'm not really a huge comic book fan, but I feel like this would be an amazing gateway manga if you're trying to convert somebody who is more into comics and has never really gotten into much anime before. Like, I feel like this would just be the perfect kind of gateway drug to kind of bridge that gap and really get somebody into enjoying manga for the first time. And so that's that one. I don't know why I said that's that about 20 times. Don't mind me, guys, I'm just having a small stroke. But the other one on my list is definitely Food Wars. Food Wars has an amazing art style. It's unbelievably good, and it's, I don't think I've ever really read a series before that's like practically wanted to make me eat the pages. That's not in a sexual way, I'm talking about the actual food, even though Food Wars does have quite a bit of over-sexualization sometimes for like weird reasons, but whatever. I don't think too many people are complaining about that. But this is just one of those series again where it's like I would never imagine a series about food fights, not food fights in that way either, would be this amazing. But the story is great, the core characters are great, and the art is absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. Moving on to question, where are we at? 7? Favorite first volume of the series. I think I'd have to go with The Ancient Magnus Bride for that one. This series was one of those series that really kind of caught me by surprise as well. The world building in this first volume was done really well. It really built up a sense of like amazement and wonder between the characters, the creatures, the character designs, especially of Ilias, were so interesting, and it just drew you in so quickly to the world, and it just made you curious as to what's happening, what's going on. Like, who are these people? And it was just fascinating all around, I've got to say. And the series, even from that point, hasn't disappointed. But as far as just strictly first volumes go, this one drew me in and just left me thirsting for more. Alright, so the next question, which is number 8 on the list, is 2 manga in your opinion that are underappreciated. So I tried not to double dip too many times on this list, but I definitely have to do it here. So we're going back again to Rosario Vampire. So Rosario Vampire is one of the earliest shonen manga I read, and I've got to say, I never hear much about it. It's a completed series of 24 volumes, so nothing too crazy in length. It's split up into like 2 separate arcs between season 1 and season 2. And I think what plagues Rosario Vampire is the fact that A, the anime is terrible, like it's just awful, and B, the first, I don't know, it's like, you can almost say up to volume 6, so the first 5 volumes they're too tropey. It seems like this standard harem monster shonen where there's some fights every once in a while and, you know, the girls are scantily clad. But the problem is, if you can get through those first 5 volumes, after that, it's an amazingly well done, action-packed shonen series that by the time you're like a little over halfway through the series, it's almost completely left behind, like the ecchi romance stuff. And it's this gritty, dark world that's like perilous and like this insane fight that's going on. But the problem is, like I said, the anime only focuses on the harem ecchi stuff, which is pretty much just like the first, I'd say 5 volumes or so of the series. And the first 5 volumes aren't bad, but I can see where your standard shonen fan might get lost and not get that interested in the series. I've gone on way too long about this one already, which I apologize, but I love Rosario Vampire, and it needed to be said. And so another one, in my opinion, which was, I gotta check my list. Oh yeah, it's right here. I kind of forgot. I was like, where's the manga? It's right in front of me. Eyeshield 21 is a sports manga about American football. I don't hear a ton about it, but it's one of my favorite sports. It's probably my favorite sports manga I've ever read. Keep in mind, I haven't read a ton of sports manga, so I'm a little uneducated. But I love this series, and I think it's the only series I know of that's about American football. At 37 volumes long, it's a nice long series, and it has some of the most amazing and unexpected twists I've read in any kind of series. So the fact that this, I mean, I think when I first bought this series, I bought them like the first 20 volumes or so, and I read them all in a matter of like 3 or 4 days because I couldn't put it down. It was that good, and I love it, and I think more people could really enjoy it if they gave it a chance. Alright, number 9, what manga would you want to see in full color? I think I'd have to go here, ooh, excuse me, I burped, with Oh My Goddess. If these omnibus editions were released in full color by Dark Horse, I don't know what I'd do, but it would be an amazing day. So I think what made me pick this the most is just how it tempts me with some of the colored pages that are already in the series, because for a series that I wouldn't necessarily think of right off the top of my head for wanting a full color release, the way these color pages are done are just magnificent. I love them so much, and I can only imagine what a full color release of this series would really look like, and I would buy it in a heartbeat. So then, number 10, what manga would you, don't mind me. Ideal mangaka collaboration is the last question. And so I have to agree slightly with InsidiousSwede's here, because I am picking the same artist, which would be from, obviously, the artist from One Punch Man and Eyeshield 21. The art is just, it's mind-blowing. Like, the art in Eyeshield 21 was really good, but that's obviously a slightly older series, and to see where he's at now in One Punch Man is absolutely insane, and so I would love to see him team up with the story mind of Tsugumi Oba, because although I hate to split up the amazing Death Note duo, I can only imagine what, you know, the amazing storytelling Oba can create with just this amazing art style that you see in like One Punch Man and Eyeshield 21. I think that would be just off the charts insane, and I would love to see it someday, even if it's really probably, let's face it, not going to happen. But anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video of mine. I had a lot of fun going through my shelves and picking books off the shelf and trying to figure out, you know, what I would do and what I would match up and excluding series. So thanks a whole bunch to InsidiousSwede for coming up with this manga tag. I'm supposed to tag people, aren't I? So I'll go ahead and I suppose tag simply Guy and Aloofdragons if they would like to participate in this tag as well. We'll go ahead and extend that to those guys, although it is open to anybody. You guys, if anyone sees this and wants to do their own video, make sure you go ahead and do it. So anyway, guys, please let me know if you have any more thoughts from this video, of videos that you'd like to see me do. I feel like I would actually really like to make a Rosario Vampire series review, so I think I might start working on that because I have so much more I'd like to say about that series, as you might have been able to tell. Anyway, guys, I've been FatalFerret. Thanks a whole bunch again to InsidiousSwede, and I will see you back on the prowl next time.